Hello and welcome back to the colony with Man of the Antz. Very excitingly today, well, I was very excited because the VR update, the Sim Update 2 or 3, I think it's 2, has been released for Flight Simulator 2020, which has included the VR support for all VR headsets, not just the HP Reverb 2, which was originally what they said. It's now available for all VR headsets, which was very exciting. Unfortunately, I don't know how bad it looks for you guys, but unfortunately the performance is absolutely terrible for me. Absolutely terrible. Much worse than I was expecting, to the point where it's almost unplayable. Now, I'll just quickly show you the settings I have. So I have a resolution set down to 80%, and then I basically have everything off or at its lowest. So as you can see, everything is off or is at low. These larger numbers here, that's the lowest that goes for the shadow maps. So everything is off at its lowest, so it couldn't go any lower apart from changing the resolution. And I have tried running it all the way down at, oh, not 30, I don't think I tried. I think I tried 50 at one point. I think I tried 50. So we can put on 50 so you can see what it's like on 50. So it's slightly better on 50. I got a steady 45 frames a second when I had it on 50 when I was doing some testing just now. But I don't know if you can see what that looks like to you necessarily, but it looks bad enough in a VR headset. Obviously I use the Valve Index. It looks bad enough that I wouldn't want to play at this resolution. So we're just going to pop the resolution back up again. So good things, it's very easy to do. When you load the game up, it loads up in the standard desktop mode, and you just press Control and Tab, and it switches immediately over to VR, loads up Steam VR in the background. Everything is hunky-dory. I was really happy with that. The actual VR implementation itself, in terms of the menus and stuff, is a little lacking. So the desktop display it shows you is the two fisheye lenses rather than a single nice screen that you, something similar to what you're seeing right now. You don't get that. And the menus themselves, although this looks quite nice with this kind of like banded around me, curved around the Vision menu, the actual in-game menus are just floating screens in the middle of nowhere. But it's not ideal, but that's not a problem at all either. But as I say, the performance is not very good at all. So it does have a little developer debug thing which tells you what the performance issue is. While we are talking, we'll just start this going. And it flips between saying that my GPU and my CPU, limited by main thread or something GPU, it doesn't come up long enough for me to say, are the things that are the cause of the problem. I don't want to say that it's a liar, but I've opened up Task Manager, obviously, to have a little bit of a look at Task Manager, see what Task Manager says. And Task Manager says currently, as we are flying now, and it's a little bit jittery and everything's on the lowest settings, the GPU is at 30% and the CPU is at 33%. I did open up the Resource Manager as well and checked all the separate CPU cores, and none of them are maxed at all. So there's something a little different, a little odd going on. I've got no idea what. If anyone does have any ideas, I would really, really appreciate any feedback, because when you get a little bit of distance and you're not moving around too much, you can't notice the jitteriness that I'm seeing. It looks amazing. I'd love to be able to see more of this. I'd love to have a proper full flight. At the moment, it's largely smooth, but with occasional jitters as it's running now. And it's probably running based on what I've had to take the developer view off, because otherwise it shows up in the screen that you're seeing, and obviously we don't want that. Don't want you seeing just a flickering bunch of numbers that aren't going to mean much. Yes, it's probably running at about 33-40 frames a second. So obviously the alternate frame technology, I can't remember what the Valve ones is called, the Valve one calls now, but that's kicking in to try and smooth the gameplay as much as possible. But unfortunately, it just doesn't run very well at all, and it's honestly really gutting. I don't have the best PC in the world. My trim needs to be sorted. It's like something chronic. I have a Ryzen 2700X. Oop, trimmed too far. And a 1080 Ti GPU. So, overspeed, that's fine. So it's not amazing, but it's not bad either. You know, I wouldn't expect it to have massive issues. I'd expect it not to be able to run at, ultra, but I'd expect it to be able to run at the very least. See, right now, when we're going in a straight line, it's not too bad at all. There's a little bit of sort of waviness to everything, but unfortunately, because I've turned all the settings down, it's not looking great in these urban environments. I imagine if I went somewhere that was a little more Just checking my Ethernet as well to make sure that's not being hammered either, so it's not the streaming necessarily that's doing anything. Because this is an entirely new area. By the way, I'm in Tokyo. I should probably say that. I'm in Tokyo because I thought I'd go to somewhere a bit new, someone that I've not seen before. But you can see that the main ground itself is just like a, well, like Flight Sim 2000, kind of just a blurry mix of nothingness, really. If we go a bit closer, I'd expect the buildings to start popping in. Oh, I've been to that building, the Metropolitan Government building. So there we go. So the buildings are popping in. You can see that the frame rate is quite savagely impacted when you get close ground, which is largely what you'd expect. That's exactly what I'd expect to see. So let's head up a little bit. You can see as soon as you get any distance, it becomes just a slightly generic blurry mess. We'll probably try loading up somewhere which is a little bit more rural in a moment to see what that looks like. I mean, like, the clouds and the weather all look amazing. And with a little bit of distance and nothing too much going on, it doesn't run entirely badly, but it sort of takes away the point of Flight Sim, really, doesn't it? That you're just flying around with nothing to look at so that it runs okay. I don't know if you can see that cloud's got a bit of weird dithering on it, or it did. It's now been replaced by the Tokyo Skytree. So yeah, so overall I'm a little bit disappointed. And I don't really know that there's much I can do from my end to resolve. Like I say, if anyone does have any ideas, do let me know. But as I say, I put all the settings down, and this is how it looks, which is, yeah, a little bit of a shame. But we'll try out somewhere a little bit more rural to see if that makes any massive difference. And I do want to try flying in one of the... There's some weird wobbling going on with the plane body then, but I don't know if that's because it's the physics engine coping with me going way too fast for the physics engine, for the plane to normally go at, because I've disabled the you know, overspeed. But yeah, I'd love to be flying around this, taking all of this in a little bit. But yeah, VR itself works very well. I'm happy with the way it's been implemented and everything. It's just a shame that the performance is somewhat lacking, although I won't turn there. I should say I am running the game on the Xbox 360 controller rather than the full HOTAS. That's just for my own ease, really, rather than anything. So let's pop back. What we're doing, main menu. Let's pop back to the main menu. We'll start off a new flight and just take a look somewhere a bit more rural, maybe somewhere in like middle USA, Utah, that sort of thing, perhaps. So we'll create a flight, we'll zoom out of Tokyo. Obviously I did have to change the time there, you can see it is quite late at night over there. Oops, too far. So let's head for this sort of yellowy, orangey patch in the middle. So we'll set that as a departure. 5,000 foot. I do want to try loading up one of the larger jet engines just so I can see what it looks like inside. There is no motion control support at the moment. We'll go with the 320. There's no motion control support at the moment. I'm not sure whether they're planning on doing it. It's not high on the list of things to do, because most sort of hardcore, I don't really like that term, but most hardcore flight simmers are going to have a full HOTAS setup anyway. And they're the ones really that the VR stuff is geared towards more than anything. It would be nice to have the motion control. So I don't know if you guys saw my X-Plane 11 video, but you could do everything in the cockpit with the motion controls, including the throttles and everything. It could all be done with the motion control, so it was really, really nice. So we'll hit ready to fly. Didn't take too long to load up there, did it? That was quite nice. And so things like this, so the objectives boxes and that sort of thing that you have, you can just grab those with the mouse and move those around, and they sort of just pan around you. And you can put those wherever you want. That's really nice. The toolbar at the top isn't there by default, but if you press the tab button, it does pop up. I don't know if you guys can even see that. You can see that, yes. So you can just hide that at will, which is quite nice. But you can see this as well. I don't know. It's a new area, so it probably is doing a little bit of streaming in terms of pulling stuff down from the internet. But then saying that, yeah, my receive rate on my Ethernet is currently in the kilobits, if anything, so it's not doing much there at all. So we're not waiting for much to come down from the internet pipe. CPU 25%, 40%, GPU 30%, and yeah, unfortunately, again, I don't know how much how much you're really getting of the poor performance. But when I spin around the plane, it all kind of blurs and distorts because it's not keeping up with it. So yeah, it's all, yeah, I'm just very disappointed, unfortunately. So now I was massively looking forward to, particularly if you followed the previous Flight Simulator videos I did. I was really looking forward to this. And I'm not sure whether it's something to do with the game and the optimization of the VR implementation within the game, or if it's something to do with my system. I haven't had any issues with any other game. I haven't really tried running anything quite this taxing, I suppose. But I've been playing, like, for instance, Assassin's Creed Valhalla with the wife, which has been on, you know, maximum settings. Should we try landing in the desert for fun? Flaps down. Throttle down. See if we can land in the desert. But yeah, I've not had any other major issues at all. I'm definitely running the latest NVIDIA drivers because I had to do a reinstall of those. See some trees popping in. It's not running horribly here, but then if we spin the camera around, yeah, the plane distorts. Not as bad as it was, but it's still not very smooth at all. And even just doing that, the tail looks like it's waving in the air as I do that. It almost looks like it's a flag rather than a static body. So yeah, so overall, I am quite disappointed. Hopefully there will be some further optimization to come. But I just can't see, like I say, when you're running at 30-40% usage, what is actually the bottleneck? It looks like it's something to do with the timings when you look at the debug mode, where it's saying that it's the milliseconds it's taking stuff to respond, but I don't really know how to resolve that. So let's brake, stop it dead. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but that frame rate is horrible in here, horrible. I'm assuming that you guys can see that. And there's nothing to really look at. I mean, it's obviously the cockpit's taken up a fair bit of the performance issues here. But just trying to look around now when it's static and nothing's moving, it's looking like it's probably around 20 frames a second there. Let's have a quick takeoff, just so we can say we've taken off in the 320. I'm going to have to go back to the external view because that looks too bad for my eyes to cope with inside. I'm not sure what these little mini explosions are that are coming out. Just noticed that when you're in the external view, you don't get the speed indicators and the such like anymore. So I've got no idea how fast I'm going. And it looks like if it was running at full res, you'd be able to see the text on everything pretty clearly. I don't think there'd be many issues with that. And you can skip between... Well, you could skip between the instrument views. I'm not sure... I thought it was up on the D-pad, but maybe that doesn't have instrument views in the 320. I'm sure it was up on the D-pad before. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, so there we go. That's probably where I'm going to leave that then. It's a fairly short video, but unfortunately I don't really feel like I can play the game for any sort of lengthy period because it's just not running as I would hope. Which, as I say, is a massive shame. Because I would absolutely love to have a really good go at this in VR. Hopefully they'll do some optimizations to it. It may just be my system, but I did try looking up the issues that I was getting, the sort of error message that was throwing up in the debug thing, and I did just find a bunch of people complaining, saying that their system isn't being taxed in the slightest, but they're getting these messages, and there wasn't really any resolution to that. So I suspect it's more of a game optimization thing, but we'll see. Time will tell, I suppose. So yeah, there we go. That is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in VR. Unfortunately, a little disappointing, and not something I'll be able to spend a lot of time in its current state. But there we go. What can you do, eh? Well... yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this quick look at Flight Simulator VR. If you did, do hit the like button, always appreciated. Comment, subscribe, all those good things. And I'll see you next time. Hopefully Sunday we'll be back in Flight Simulator VR and it'll be running lovely and smooth and we can just have a really nice time together. Wouldn't that be lovely? As always, thank you very much for joining me.